Hello and good evening. Welcome to the last bulletin of News 360 for the year 2017. My name is Solis Rose Corte.
My name is Isamoni. The headlines for tonight is up next. Coming up, President Akufo-Addo re-echoes concern about the country's persistent reliance on foreign aid.
Accra Psychiatric Hospital continues to rely on the benevolence of philanthropists to treat patients days after TV3's expose on the acute shortage of the drugs.
Also in the headline, 3 people died on the spot when a vehicle they were traveling in Best Etstai and crashed at Bakpa Ajani on the Sogakope Adidome Road.
On mission tonight, motorbikes to rescue of patients at the Dafiama Busie Isa District Hospital of the Upper West Region in the absence of ambulance.
And international news, 6 people die after a seaplane crashed into a river in Australia 30 miles north of Sydney.
You're still tuned in to News 360. Now the details.
Beginning the news tonight, at least 3 people reportedly died on the spot when a vehicle they were traveling in the Best Etstai and crashed at Bakpa Ajani on the Sogakope Adidome Road. Several others sustained various degrees of injuries and are on admission at the Adidome Government Hospital, Kombuni Hospital, Sogakope, St. Anthony's Hospital at Jose, and the Volta Regional Hospital in Ho. Reports say the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter with registration number AS 687410 was from Accra with 22 passengers when the accident occurred. The driver reportedly panicked and lost control when one of his tires burst. The police in Sogakope have confirmed the death but will not give any further detail.
Now on health, the Accra Psychiatric Hospital is to embark on a public fundraising drive next year to rehabilitate its special ward, also known as the forensic ward. The facility, built in 1904, is in a bad state. Peter Kwao Adato reports the ward, built for 50 patients, is currently accommodating 140 patients.
Despite the passage of the Mental Health Act, Act 846, to improve mental health care, challenges continue unabated. The Accra Psychiatric Hospital, which was built in 1904 and commissioned in 1906, is yet to receive any major rehabilitation. The lifespan, according to the British colonial government, was supposed to be about 50 years. That notwithstanding, 100 years on, individual interventions have held parts of the facility with an estimated capacity of 800 patients. The special or forensic ward is the worst affected. The ward, which is also a center for court referrals, is in a complete state of disrepair. The washrooms, bedrooms and entire infrastructure were in bad state. Water continues to run through an opening in one of the bathrooms. Even though the officials say they do not know the source of the water, a close look suggested it was coming from an overhead tank on top of the bathroom. Roofs and ceilings have suffered severe damages. Aside this is congestion. The ward, built for 50 patients, is currently holding over 140 patients. Patients are compelled to sleep in the open at the mercy of the weather. Hospital authorities say they can no longer wait on the state for solutions.
And that is to fit out what we call our forensic ward. The ward is dilapidated, where the patients sleep is not good enough. And so we want to again embark on the drive that we went on this year to get some money to fit out the ward. And so once again, we will call upon you when the time is right, and we hope that, just as you've promised, you come to our aid, and Corporate Ghana will also come to our aid.
Director of the hospital, Dr. Pinamina Apo, called on the public to assist the hospital.
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital continues to rely on the benevolence of philanthropists to treat patients days after TV3's expose on the acute shortage of drugs. Director of the hospital, Dr. Pinamai Apau, told Peter Kwao that even though funds have been released for the purpose, the Ministry of Health is yet to procure the drugs for the facility.
TV3 on Wednesday, December 26, reported on the acute shortage of medicals at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. A donation of 5,000 tablets of paracetamol and 700 tablets brufen by a small preacher group on that fateful day became the only drugs for the Christmas season. Deputy Director of Nursing Services Emmanuel Papo told Peter Kwao Adato the facility has been out of even primary drugs like paracetamol for many months.
We have another type of medication we call psychotropic drugs. That one is acute shortage, and now it's making the patients to be agitated and restless and aggressive. Sometimes those nurses on duty, they do beat them because there is no medication for them.
We were told nurses continue to rush to the open market for drugs to treat their patients.
Because when you give them prescriptions to go outside to buy, usually it's difficult for them to find it, and also they may end up not buying. So we get the drugs in here, then we sell it to them to be able to recover costs and pay the pharmaceutical company. So that's what currently we've been doing.
The Mental Health Authority and the Ministry of Health confirmed the challenge in their respective response to the story. Subsequently, the Ministry of Finance reportedly made available money to the Health Ministry for immediate purchase of drugs for the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. But as at Friday, December 28, the hospital was yet to receive any consignment of medication.
As at now, we've not received the medications yet, but we know that monies are being made available for medications to be procured for us. So we are hoping that it will be facilitated so that we get the medications that we need here.
Another donation of 8,000 tablets of paracetamol, a quantity each of ORS, Duro and Danex ointment from Reality Ghana was another savior. Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofinti, who was at the facility at the time, expressed concern over what he termed abject neglect.
I had the opportunity to walk into the bathroom. It's an eyesore. I believe going forward, we should be able to support such a venture and to also impress on others to also come to their aid.
For now, it appears the facility will continue to depend on seasonal donations to meet its growing demand until government wakes up to its responsibilities.
Well, TV3 is still critically reviewing the happenings across various sectors in the country in the year 2017. Now let's look at politics. Now, the ambition of Nana Akufo-Addo to be president of Ghana was fulfilled within the year, witnessing some ups and downs. The following report takes a look at major events in the political arena.
The victory of President Akufo-Addo was described as grand because it was the first time an opposition leader had unseated an incumbent president. Analysts attributed the defeat of former President John Mahama to increased perception of corruption in the previous government. President Akufo-Addo was sworn into office on January 7.
I, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
His swearing in was another successful event, as has happened since Ghana adopted democratic rule. However, this came with some issues as the president was accused of plagiarism. In February, the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, also had his first State of the Nation's address. In his address, he stressed he was in a hurry to put a government together, calling on Ghanaians to support him. During his speech, he noted Ghana missed all its targets under the IMF program, with fiscal indiscipline rearing its head in 2016. Another issue that became topical for discussion in March was the appointment of 110 ministers and deputy ministers. Some people described the appointment of 110 ministers as outrageous, which government defended with the explanation that the work ahead was enormous and needed competent people to handle. The argument therefore was that at the end of the 4-year mandate of the New Patriotic Party government, the country would have spent 80,844,192 cedis on salaries alone. During the vetting of the ministers, Member of Parliament for Boko Central Constituency, Mahama Yariga, made some allegations against some members of the Appointments Committee. He allegedly said each member of the committee was given 3,000 cedis to approve the nomination of Energy Minister Boache Jakong. A Joe Gatti committee was then set up to investigate the matter. Still on vetting, the minority in Parliament also refused to support the nomination of the Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Otiku Afisa-Jaba, because the minority believed her posture before the committee and her response to some questions were inappropriate. Otiku Afisa-Jaba also had a banter with the Northern Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bugri Nabu, where he accused him of promising people jobs he cannot provide in exchange for cow and goods. This generated heated arguments with calls for the gender minister to resign, leading to her apology to Bugri Nabu. In September, the much-touted campaign promise, the free SHS, was introduced, with freshers going to high school for the first time without paying school fees. The National Identification Program was another major program which was introduced by the government.
Still in the year review, and on education, 2017 saw the NPP government start the implementation of one of its flagship programs, Free Senior High School. In the following report, the news team takes a look at major events on the education front.
2017 saw threats of strike from the country's traditional and technical universities, as well as teachers from the second cycle and basic schools. Teachers from the traditional universities, UTAG, threatened strike over their book and research allowance. 45 million Ghana cedis was later released by government for the payment of the book and research allowances of these lecturers for the 2016-2017 academic year. Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG, also threatened strike in August over lack of governing councils for the technical universities. But the Ministry of Education in September inaugurated the councils of the Accra, Kumasi, Ho, Takoradi, Sunyani and Koforidua technical universities. The councils were charged to deliver practical-oriented teaching and learning different from the traditional universities. Another major highlight on the education front came during the 2017 Basic Education Certificate examination. After 201 candidates from Bunkurugu could not write the first two papers of that year's BECE, an NGO, Child Rights International, took up their case. Child Rights International filed the case in court. This was, however, resolved as 188 out of the 201 candidates from two communities in the Bunkurugu district of the Northern Region were placed in senior high schools. The 13 who could not gain admission failed maths and science, a major requirement for placement. Also, in 2017, government restored the teacher trainee allowance in line with its manifesto promise during the 2016 campaign. About 45,000 teacher trainees in 41 public colleges of education are expected to receive 204 Ghana cedis each as monthly allowance from the Students' Trust Fund. September 12, 2017 saw the fulfillment of the major education campaign promise of the NPP, the launch of the Free Senior High School program. President Akufo-Addo launched the program on the premises of the West Africa Senior High School in Adentan. The Free Senior High School program seeks to increase access to secondary education by removing the burden of paying fees from parents. The program was faced with some challenges as some schools were demanding payments for certain items from parents. During the year under review, the Kumasi Academy in the Shanti region recorded some student deaths. 4 of the deaths were later confirmed to be influenza type A as the H1N1 pandemic strain. Subsequently, vaccines were brought in and students, teachers, health workers, and all those who came in contact with the school were vaccinated. As the year drew to a close, the National Association of Graduate Teachers on December 15 threatened to strike in January 2018 if government fails to pay the over 50 million Ghana cedis outstanding arrears owed its members.
Well, now let's find out what else transpired regarding the year under review, and let's look at the business world now. And the year 2017 saw a burst of optimism in the business community. Investor confidence was high due to government's policies of tax cuts and an economy based on production. We take a look at some major issues that made the headlines in the world of business.
2017 saw the finance minister appearing thrice before Parliament to present the economic policies of the government. The first was on March 2 when he presented the NPP-led administration's first budget statement. This was followed by a media review on July 31. The 2017 budget and the review were based on tax cuts and improving revenue mobilization. The third budget reading this year was for 2018. Government proposed between 11 and 21% electricity tariffs cuts in the 2018 budget that was presented to Parliament on November 15. Nevertheless, the downward adjustment in electricity tariffs will need the approval of the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, PURC, as prescribed by the law.
As a further commitment to creating a supportive ecosystem for young Ghanaian entrepreneurs of age 35 years and below who start their own businesses, government will, through the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, grant tax holidays based on the number of persons employed by a startup or early stage business. A preferential tax rate of between 3 to 5 years will be granted after the tax holiday. They will also be allowed to carry forward losses for 5 years.
In 2018, government has targeted to hire 100,000 graduates under a new program aimed at addressing livelihood empowerment and graduate unemployment. The focus is to help in solving public service delivery in the health, education, agriculture, and sanitation sectors, as well as drive revenue mobilization and collection. The finance minister revealed government will invest heavily in its flagship policies such as planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, free senior high school, as well as agriculture and agribusiness. The budget is targeting GDP of 6.8% and end of 2018 inflation target of 8.9%. In the year under review, government also issued a 10-year and 7-year bond with the aim of getting 6 billion cedis to offset the legacy debts of the energy sector, which was about 10 billion cedis. However, a total of 4.69 billion cedis was realized even after a 7-day extension period. The 7-year component raked in 2.4 billion cedis as targeted at an interest rate of 19%. However, the 10-year bond failed to hit the 3.6 billion cedis mark. The minority in Parliament accused the economic management team for causing financial loss to the state for failing to raise targeted 6 billion cedis energy bond.
The Ministry of Finance and the government, they have caused financial loss to the state. The simple point is that instead of them issuing a bond called plain vanilla, they decided to use this complex structure that has cost the taxpayer 2%. That can help the government to finance the free SHS that they are struggling to settle.
The Ghana Stock Exchange on Monday, August 28, 2007, suspended the trading activities of 5 listed companies on the exchange. The 5 suspended companies were African Champion Industry, ACI, Clydestone Ghana, Golden Web, Pioneer Kitchenware, and Transaction Solutions, Transol. The decision by the managers to suspend the companies was due to their failure to submit financial reports, non-payment of annual listing fees, and failure to conduct annual general meetings, among others. Year 2017 witnessed GCB Bank taking over UT and Capital banks. Prior to the central bank revoking the licenses of Capital and UT banks, there were a total of 33 banks operating in the country, with 3 banks yet to begin operations. The Bank of Ghana announced that the takeover of the 2 banks became necessary due to severe impairment of their capital. The takeover led to hundreds of former workers of the now defunct UT Bank and Capital Bank receiving letters notifying them of termination of their appointments. Out of the over 1,300 combined staff of the 2 defunct banks, about 600 workers were retained. On the international front, the rush for digital currency Bitcoin increased the cryptocurrency's capitalization. As of December 16, $18,000 per Bitcoin commanded a hefty $300 billion market capitalization. Ahead of the 2018 economic year, the macroeconomic targets for the medium term will focus on real GDP to grow at an average rate of 6.2% between 2018 and 2020, with overall fiscal deficit to remain within a fiscal rule of 3 to 5%.
Right, you're on News 360. We're going to talk about calendars. Solis refused to make a comment, but I'll bring her in a day on the show. Now, the beginning and end of every year comes with a ritual of disposing of old calendars and replacing them with new ones. In this age of smartphones and the internet, where one can get access to dates or planners at their fingertips, we find out if printed calendars are still relevant.
One item that remains as of a transition into a new year is undoubtedly the calendar. These calendars have been a great source of reference and record keeping. Printed calendars is usually a common item in almost every home or office. Technology, however, appears to be relegating the age-old printed calendar to mere accessories or for decoration. This is because several gadgets now come with inbuilt calendars. On phones, it comes handy. For many, this makes referring to a printed calendar old-fashioned and laborious, even though they have them.
I think I prefer the digital one because you always carry it along. Unlike the calendar printed one that you have to go back to house and recheck it again. So I think gradually it's fading up of the system.
All of them are the same, but it's easier to check on my phone than to make reference on the one on my office or the one at home.
I prefer the one on my phone because it's very portable.
It appears some do not even have these printed calendars at all. This development, however, appears not to have had any negative bearing on the business of producing calendars. This was evident here at Accra New Town, a hub of all printing works in Accra. Eric Into Anakwa owns one of the renowned binding shops in the area. He has been operating for the past 17 years and tells me his outfit binds a minimum of 100,000 calendars annually. He explained, in December this year alone, about 40,000 calendars have been binded already. He is of the conviction, although these digital calendars have become popular, they can never replace the printed ones, since corporate institutions, churches and schools would always express interest.
I am a messiah. Yeah, one more frabby, my training more frabby, top one idea, more frabby calendars.
This business will never collapse. I have even trained a lot of youth who are into the same business and are doing very well. He explained the fact that these printed calendars can always be customized to meet the preference of a client is enough to sustain the business.
Interesting.
Right, so it's for and against, right? Do you still check dates on calendars?
I haven't done that in a while, but I think that mainly it's more for advertising of various companies, because most of the calendars I've seen so far for companies. I mean, if I had a TV3 calendar, I'll hang it in my house. That's pretty much the only reason why I might hang that, because everything else I check on my phone.
And probably for children of school-going age as well, they can confirm a date on too. So calendars may still be relevant.
Welcome back to News 360. It's now time for Mission, and it is supported by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, Danida, and the European Union. Let's start off from the health sector, and the lack of functional ambulances in health facilities in the Dafiama Busie Isa district of the Upper West region has compelled healthcare givers to rely on motorbikes to transport their patients. Now, this is a setback to quality healthcare as pregnant women deliver on the way to referral centers and or sometimes develop complications. Now, a community emergency transport system is, however, saving the situation as health facilities await ambulances.
Hundreds of kilometers of untarred and dusty roads. Commercial vehicles are therefore few. The Motor King is the savior. Health facilities are the most affected. Many are without functional transport systems.
It has been very difficult because since we started in the whole district, we haven't had an ambulance, and then we depend on individual means by which the patient will take to go. So when we refer a woman, when we are about to refer a woman or a patient, we already tell them that we are about to go because it is beyond our level. So they have to prepare for the means.
Many pregnant women have delayed in getting to the nearest health facility due to this. Many necessary tests during pregnancy are not done because transport to the regional capital to do this is unavailable.
When we tell them that they should go, they will tell us that they don't have the means, and for that matter, they can't go. We don't know how we are going to go about it because we don't have the necessary items here to do the test for them.
Saving pregnant women is a Herculean task. Even the Motor King is not easy to come by.
She said, for the meantime, if they could help them with Motor King, so that in case there is such a problem, they can use that one to manage to the nearest clinic.
Healthcare givers are at their wits' end in finding a solution.
You can imagine where a woman is pregnant, is in labor, and she's referred, and the road is bad. She has no access to any comfortable vehicle, no ambulance services in the district, and she will have to be transported either on a tricycle or on a motorbike, a normal motorbike. It is a very bad situation.
Together with the communities, strategies to overcome the transport challenge is being thought through. But even what is available as transport has challenges. Despite this, the Motor King or Nyaba Lorry has and remains supportive in providing pregnant women with transport during delivery.
The assembly is doing its part. They have promised to donate some tricycles that will be kept in some of the health facilities in the absence of ambulance, so that in the case of emergencies, we can rely on these tricycles. But until when the roads have improved, we have an ambulance, we have a district hospital, we have enough health staff, and in the right mix, the situation will continue to be challenging.
The district health team is not resting on ensuring that every woman who gets pregnant delivers safely, but says a local and central government's intervention is key.
If the district could afford an ambulance for each sub-district, because we have 5 sub-districts in this district. So if the assembly could do that, I think it would have been easier for us. Even if it was not like each sub-district to get an ambulance, but at least 1 or 2 within, if you call, at least they can get here faster, then transportation to the next level will be very smooth.
In road infrastructure, central government should take it up. Because how much does the district assemblies get to support local projects? And of course, road construction, it takes a lot of money.
The assembly concedes roads are bad, and since it is beyond its means, it wants central government's attention.
Some of the roads have not been engineered at all. No machine has been to some of the communities just to create roads to those places. So we put in our composite budget to open new roads in 2018. And then we also put in the same budget to rehabilitate some of the roads. But we need interventions from central government and whoever that can support us to improve upon our roads.
With expected pregnancy of 1,387 per year, the district health management team says measures put in will save pregnant women, but they need support.
And now to some education, specifically girl-child education, and authorities of the Wa East District of the Upper West region are struggling to get the girl child to go to school. Enrollment is encouraging at the primary stage, but drops at the junior high school level. This is mainly due to early marriage. District authorities are, however, strategizing to get as many girls as possible to enroll and stay in school.
Just give her the support to tell the men that to wait. When she complete SS, when she complete tertiary, you can marry.
The district has a bad history when it comes to girl child education. Several of them will not go to school. Those who go drop out. Only 3 out of 10 will get to the junior high level.
Most parents are not interested in enrolling their girl child in school, and it is actually a problem. And even when it gets there, if you look at the enrollment from primary school, you see that the girl child enrollment is very good, but immediately they get to JSS, there's a big drop.
Early and forced marriage, teenage pregnancy, and some parents say poverty are the reasons these girls are out of school.
That is what they are saying. When you even go for sensitization, they will tell you that when the girl comes, buy this, you don't have it. What do? There was a JSS 2 girl, and somebody picked her up. They reported to me. We went there, sent the guy to the police station. The mother came out boldly that we can't lock the guy. She has given her to the guy. We are not taking care of. We don't know how he struggled to feed the child.
Teachers are doing all they can to keep the girls in school. This is not yielding results.
I can talk for the teachers. For them, they are doing their best. But for the side of the parents, some of them, the case will come out. When you take it to the police station, if it is teenage pregnancy, they will back up and say they've taken cola from the guy's parents.
Apart from parents giving their girls out in marriage, support from the national and district levels is only talk. This has slowed down efforts at improving girl child education. The District Directorate of Education is determined to achieve results at getting the girl child in school. The police is helping.
Since we started the beginning of the academic year 2016-2017, I think there has been a change. Well, there are reported cases to the police where some arrests were made and possible some prosecuted at the police station. 1 or 2 people are in jail for defiling some 13-year-old girls, schoolgirls in the communities. Now, the girl child education, I would want to see massive enrollment in the schools. Great enrollment in the schools, because that's one of the challenges that we face.
This is not all. Community elders, parents, religious leaders, education officers, and all are being involved. Girl child officers are determined to see the girls in school.
I feel happy when I see girls in school. When you are, I know a girl is a vulnerable. If people are like us are not there for our district, no girl will even finish JSS. Some of them will say they want to catch them young. If there's nobody to support, seriously, we won't get them.
Regional education authorities are working at getting every girl child to go to school and complete, and they need the support of parents and communities to achieve this.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that issues like this are still prominent in some parts of the country going into 2018. But we'll still keep harping on issues like this and raising awareness out there so that everybody responsible for doing what they must will do exactly that. And that's All for Mission, and it's supported by Star Ghana with funding from UKAID, Danida, and the European Union. We'll take some more stories. Over to you, Isa.
In other news tonight, President Akufo-Addo has re-echoed concern about the country's persistent reliance on foreign aid for development. He said Ghana has come far and must strive to be independent. President Akufo-Addo was addressing participants at the 37th Annual Kantanka Technology Exhibition in Accra.
People from all walks of life, including politicians and traditional leaders, converged at the premises of the Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi to grace this year's Kantanka Technology Exhibition. The exhibition provided a platform for the manufacturer to show to the general public the new items he has manufactured and convince them to patronize Made in Ghana goods. Key among products exhibited included the luxurious Kantanka Odenihun V6, a limousine-like motorcycle. Other products are saloon cars, solar panel built to produce 1,200 megawatts of power, voice-controlled electric fans and bulbs, engine blocks, gesture-controlled television sets, among other products. Founder and leader of the Crystal Formation, Apostle Dr. Engineer Kojo Safo Kantanka, who attributed his innovation to meditation, is concerned about Ghanaians' lack of taste for locally produced goods. He attributed most electronic products manufactured by the developed countries were imitations from him. President Akufo-Addo expressed worry about the country's dependence on aid and asked for a paradigm shift.
We have to be self-sufficient. We have to stand on our own feet. And we're going to be able to do that when we are masters of technology.
He lauded Apostle Kantanka's strive to be the star of Africa. Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng, said a policy to streamline activities of the local technology is being developed and it is before cabinet.
You're on News 360 and we'll have sports news coming up after the break. Right, let's do some more stories tonight. And the Volta Regional Capital Hall is hosting the 36th anniversary of the 31st December Revolution. Now, the theme for this year's event is uniting around the principles of probity, accountability, and social justice. On 31st December 1981, former President Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings led a group of soldiers to topple the late President Hilary Mann's government to form the Provisional National Defense Council, PNDC. The PNDC was an amalgamation of the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, which is on 4th June 1978, deposed the Supreme Military Council, SMC2, and handed over power to Liman's government after elections. The PNDC steered the affairs of the country until 1992, when the country was returned to constitutional democracy. National.
And now to some international news. 6 people died after a seaplane crashed into a river in Australia, 30 miles north of Sydney. All right, now let's move away from some international news and do some entertainment news.
Now, after 100 years of providing music for both the security and the public, the Ghana Police Band has set itself up to join the mainstream music industry in Ghana. The Police Band will, from next year 2018, release its maiden album in response to public demand.